While I now sit on a different side of the House, my priority remains the same, standing up for my constituents.
Carney's finally back in the House. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we got Pierre Poilievre grilling Mark Carney in the House. It's also been found that Mark Carney's own riding has become a crime hotspot in Canada. We got some other stuff. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off, we got Shrey Teese posting this. Nanos and Angus Reid saw no movement in voting intention despite Carney's approval rating surging. So a lot of Liberals posting Carney's approval rating, but as we see, nothing is changing here. I've heard this from numerous people. There's even Conservatives who think that Mark Carney is a steady hand or he is a good Prime Minister or stuff like that. They just don't know who he is. They obviously aren't watching me. They're not watching other creators. They're just getting stuff from mainstream media. There is a large swath of voters, conservative voters, who are not watching stuff on YouTube or on X. They still consume mainstream media. This has to change. We have to have honest media. The liberal funded propaganda machine is not that. I think this comment sums it up for some people. Public generally likes Carney because they don't know who this guy is, but they hate the Liberal Party. For mainstream media watchers, maybe swing voters or some conservatives who don't know who Carney is, maybe they think the guy's okay. They're a conservative and would vote conservative. It's a real mess. We just need to expose who the guy is. Jumping over to the House, finally, Pierre Poilievre gets to grill Mark Carney.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister held a photo op at a grocery store in front of food, but there was just one thing missing. The price tags. He had ordered his PMO staff to literally show up early at the grocery store and remove the price tags. They're back up today. We went and checked, and they're really high. In fact, grocery prices are rising faster in Canada than in any other G7 country, twice as fast as in the States, twice as fast as when he took office. Mr. Speaker, the hidden costs that this Prime Minister imposes on inflation will not go away because he tries to take down the price tag. Why won't he take down the price?
Mr. Speaker, yesterday, before I had lunch with the Premier of Ontario, I had a long meeting with the Premier of Ontario. I would like to introduce the Leader of the Opposition to the Premier of Ontario so we can learn something about cooperation, cooperation on housing, cooperation on building the best auto sector in the world, cooperation on good jobs for Ontarians and Canadians, cooperations on rising wages, which have risen faster than inflation every single month.
That doesn't look good. I don't think Canadians watching that are going to think Carney did a good job defending his position. Pierre grills him on a photo op where the prices had to get taken down and food inflation so high. And what does he say? I met with Doug Ford.
Speaker, if Canadians could eat the Prime Minister's photo op, wouldn't be an empty stomach in the country. He's had lots of meetings. He's had signing ceremonies. He's had grand announcements and new bureaucracies. But what he hasn't delivered is real results. His biggest promise was that he was going to make food prices affordable. Since that time, food inflation has doubled, the worst in the G7. It's the result of his hidden taxes, the inflation tax from his deficits, the fuel taxes on farmers, fertilizers, and farm equipment. Why won't he, instead of trying to hide the price tag, why won't he get rid of the cost?
Mr. Speaker, here's something we don't hide. Here's something we're proud of. Over 140,000 new jobs net created since the summer. Here in the United States. Here's something else. Wages rising every single month of this government faster than the rate of inflation. Here's something else. We cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. We put in place a national food program for 400,000 kids, making it permanent. Yesterday, we announced a benefit for 12 million Canadians, $1,800.
So I've already debunked that one. They increased the public sector jobs, most of those part-time jobs, where America had an anomaly where they lost a bunch of jobs and only 5% of their jobs created were public sector jobs, government jobs. So Mark Carney cherry-picking data here, him bragging about a national school food program. Parents should be able to afford food. We shouldn't need that program. It should be for very rare cases where you got kids who don't have parents, they're living on the street or whatever it is. They go to school, they don't have food. That's what those programs should be for.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians have never had it so good that 2.2 million of them are lined up at food banks. One of the reasons is that we can't get our resources to market. Now, while the Prime Minister, we worked in collaboration to give him exceptional powers to get things done. Instead, he spent the time on photo ops, signing ceremonies, re-announcing projects that had long ago been approved. His new bureaucracy, the projects office, has not approved a single new project. So why won't he get out of the way and accept our plan by passing the Canadian Sovereignty Act today.
You notice too on Pierre's lapel, what is that piece of metal right there? Oh, that's right. It's a little Canadian flag. Carney wouldn't know anything about that.
Mr. Speaker, part of how we move this country forward is collaborating with provinces and territories. The great territory of Nunavut. I'd like to welcome the Premier of Nunavut is here. One thing we've done in 6 months is that
You notice he pointed out Nunavut. He wants Lori Inuit, the NDP, to join. She didn't join. You've got Chris D'Entremont front row here. Is this all posturing to try to get her to cross the floor?
on Grace Bay Point, which is going to open up Arctic sovereignty, open up the future of this country, make Canada strong.
Look at him. He's having a laugh. He does his little nonchalant flare of the hand. You can see the cheeky little smile on his face here. This guy does not care. Mr. Arrogant Globalist Banker, or his other name, Governor Carney.
Are you offended by being called governor?
I mean, I think in this role, you get called a lot of things, a lot of time, and I'm not going to comment on every tweet or truth or comment from whoever. So I can handle it.
So the way he answered that here, I still can't tell what's going on. He kind of laughs about it, which could be embarrassment, or it could be the plan is working. Him and Donald Trump working together, scare Canadians more, start calling him governor, start threatening more tariffs. It amps up Canadian patriotism. Mark Carney gets his majority government. If you think about it from Donald Trump's perspective, he just wants to make America stronger, America great again. Donald Trump is without a doubt an American patriot. Mark Carney is not a Canadian patriot. Donald Trump just wants to make America stronger and getting better access to Canada's resources at a cheaper price. We're currently selling our oil to America at a massive discount, which makes their gas cheap and our lives more expensive here, our gas more expensive. If I were to guess this body language here, the way he's smiling, this looks more like genuine happiness that the plan's working versus embarrassment, but I'm not exactly sure. Carney was recently questioned about Scott Bessent's comments in the Oval Office, Mark Carney groveling to Donald Trump, pulling back on his speech in Davos. This is what he had to say, and you can see right away his body language. He doesn't like getting this question.
Scott Bessent says that you walked back your comments on Davos in a conversation with Mr. Trump. Is that the case, Prime Minister?
As I said, well, first off, the president called me yesterday. We had a very good conversation on a wide range of subjects, ranging from situation in Ukraine, Venezuela, Arctic security. We discussed as well what Canada is doing positively in this.
There's a big delay there in what he said, what he was actually talking about. They were talking about something else, and he was trying to come up with something to say that they were talking about. That's what that looks like to me. He should easily be able to say, oh, we were talking about Venezuela or Maduro or this or that or Greenland, whatever the topic was at hand. Just look again how long it takes him to come up with something to say.
We discussed as well what Canada is doing positively, and this is the context of our discussion, what Canada is doing positively to build new partnerships around the world. I explained to him our arrangement with China. I explained to him what we're doing, 12 new deals on 4 continents in 6 months. He was impressed.
He was impressed. Apparently, Donald Trump was impressed with all his deals, 12 deals in whatever, 6 countries, whatever he just said. So that big delay, him saying what Canada's doing positively, and then it goes to China. There was obviously a lot of talk on China there, but I would love to see the transcript of what's going on. As we see, this is from Blacklock's reporter. Act quicker to hide records. Federal managers have issued new guidelines for concealing records effective January 26, including permanent deletion of chat posts within 15 days. The policy follows Prime Minister Mark Carney's election pledge that access to information was quite important. He's basically deleting evidence here. They've made it so they can get rid of stuff much quicker, so he can't be fact-checked on all his bullcrap.
And what we intend to do going forward, as well as the opportunity to, of course, move forward on CUSMA. You will note that Minister LeBlanc had discussions with one of his counterparts in the last 36 hours about some of the modalities and things on the way forward. But to be absolutely clear, and I said this to the president, I meant what I said in Davos. It was clear, it was a broader set of issues, that Canada was the first country to understand the change in U.S. trade policy that he had initiated, And we're responding to that. We're responding positively by building partnerships abroad. We're responding positively by building at home. And we're prepared to respond positively by building that new relationship through CUSMA. You understood that, and it was a good conversation, as I say. So you didn't walk back your comments? No.
So you hear that at the end? They asked it again because he didn't answer the question.
As I say. So you didn't walk back your comments? No.
Did you walk back your comments? No. But his own spiel here, he said, we were talking more in broad terms. He was basically conceding. He was walking it back in his own little spiel here. So one of two things is happening here. Either Mark Carney is working with Donald Trump to tank our economy, make us weaker so America can then dominate parts of our country, oil industry, critical minerals, or take us over 51st state. Or Mark Carney is the worst negotiator in history. He's not getting a deal with America. Keeps saying Dominic Blanc is going to have more talks. We're going to have more talks. We're going to have more talks. This guy's an awful negotiator, or he is working with the Americans.
Mr. Speaker, of course, we love the Premier of Nunavut, but all the Prime Minister has is meetings, announcements, signing ceremonies, but never shovels in the ground. Never results that matter to people. Not a single pipeline approved. His project office has not approved a single new project. In fact, he hasn't removed a single pre-existing Liberal bureaucracy or single pre-existing anti-development law. All he has to do is get out of the way, adopt the Canadian Sovereignty Act so that we can get building and become self-reliant and strong.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, last time we were in this House, the member opposite stood up and had a semblance or a reduction of the MOU with Alberta. The Alberta MOU is not consistent with the Sovereignty Act. The Alberta MOU will build a pipeline to Tidewater. The Alberta MOU will build carbon capture and storage. It will build nuclear. It will build data centers. It will build our future. The Sovereignty Act will destroy it.
Yeah, this is all Brookfield initiatives here. This is the Brookfield Prime Minister of Canada.
A speech doesn't generate money. It doesn't generate jobs. It doesn't protect jobs. So I understand that there are no negotiations on trade with the Americans, and there hasn't been any movement on tariffs, while President Trump is stirring up the worst of concerns. Can the Prime Minister guarantee that there are normal negotiations and cordial negotiations with Washington, D.C.? The Right Honourable Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, the world has changed. Washington has changed. There's nearly nothing normal in the US now, and that's the truth. We are still having continued discussions with our American partners. I had a 30-minute conversation with the President of the United States yesterday evening, and I had discussions about trade with him. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly, I understand that the US has changed, and I'm still very concerned about this. It worries me. The diversification of markets is something that we are for. We have been proposing it for years, but we don't want to renounce Quebec values that resemble Canadian values, I hope. In a predictable future, the US will still represent close to 3/4 of our trade. Jobs are at risk. Businesses are at risk. Does he guarantee that in July 2026 there will be a new trade agreement with the states?
He's getting pushed pretty hard here by Blanchette. In bringing up the basic facts here, 77% of our exports go to America. Of course, all Carney wants is his New World Order.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, that is the intention of the US, Mexico and Canada. Official negotiations will begin in a few weeks.
So official negotiations starting in a couple weeks. Don't worry, it just took him a year to get there.
I was in Yellowknife last week. Diamond mines used to be 20% of NWT's GDP. Only 2 mines are left, and 1 will close in March. 1,600 resource-related jobs have been lost in the last 10 years. But our Canadian Sovereignty Act will repeal federal blocks and penalties to development and reward territories and provinces, businesses and workers who build and invest right here in Canada. When we export and build more, incomes go up and life becomes more affordable. Will you support it, Prime Minister?
It's so sad. It's not like what mines produce isn't in demand. It's highly in demand. It's just corrupt government running our country into the ground.
Speaker, Canada has one of the most vibrant, important, imposing mining sectors in the world. Toronto is one of the most important mining finance centers in the world. The Build Canada Act will permit us to accelerate work on mines like Crawford, on mines like and on LNG projects, and on critical minerals, and on the Sisson mine in New Brunswick, on mines
Or on the Allied gold mine that Chinese company Xinji Gold is trying to acquire for $5.5 billion, as Melissa posting here, is on the watch list for forced labor. Will the Carney government approve this purchase? I think we all know the answer to this. The Liberal Party is corrupt.
Right across this country, and the minerals of the future, and nickel and minerals that keep Canadians working. Minerals is going to be a core part of our economic plan going ahead.
Look at this disgraceful display that the Liberals are putting on here. Chris D'Entremont on the front line, and now they have Michael Ma stand up and speak.
Okay. While I now sit on a different side of the House, my priority remains the same. Standing up for my constituents and making sure their concerns are acted on. Last fall, I held a crime prevention town hall in Markham Unionville. What I heard clearly and repeatedly was concern about auto thefts and home invasions.
Yeah, this guy's so full of crap, sitting here reading his pre-scripted bullcrap on his page here. This guy's an absolute disgrace. He should be thrown out of office.
And the impact these crimes have on families' sense of safety. Mr. Speaker, can the minister outline how Canada's new government is strengthening public safety and ensuring
Sore losers on that side.
Who's takes? You can. Yeah, okay.
Someone just said on the Liberal bench, sore losers on that side. That's how they treat the situation. Canadians voted for Michael Ma to be a Conservative, and now the Conservatives are sore losers? This is undemocratic what they're doing.
I want to welcome my colleague to the government benches where he's already making a real impact, Mr. Speaker.
We're going to have some real impact coming forward. They want to see real impact. It's time that we start printing out flyers and Canadians across Canada start putting this stuff up everywhere. It's like having a campaign team of 100,000 people. They can't stop that. So I'm going to talk with some other creators, see what we can come up with. I obviously have my list of conflicts of interest. Start putting stuff everywhere. The Liberals will not be able to push back against a team of 100,000 campaigning essentially across Canada.
In 2024, we had an auto theft summit and created a plan, Mr. Speaker.
That's right.
And thanks to the dedication of law enforcement across this country and focused federal action, we are seeing a downward trend on auto thefts across this country.
She wants to talk about crime. Why don't we talk about Mark Carney's very own riding here, Nepean? Exclusive. Board in Carney's Nepean riding was crime-ridden. Hotspot in 2025 as crime spiked across Ottawa in 2025. A neighborhood at the heart of Prime Minister Mark Carney's own Nepean riding saw a shocking 16% surge in crime. Now, we know full well he doesn't care about Nepean. He doesn't live in Nepean. He lives in Rockcliffe, right across the street from Rideau Hall. How do I know this? Because I found his house. Crime is raging in Canada. The media likes to hide it and spin the truth. This is what happens in a land where state-sponsored media propaganda is being pumped into the ears and eyes of citizens all day long. Canada has failed. Yeah. Mark Carney can't even secure his own riding, and now it's become a crime hotspot. And we got someone comparing Canada's violent crime rate, which is 3 times higher than America. 1,400 per 100,000 versus 380 per 100,000.